Chosen one, you do not need to enter a room and struggle to capture everyone's attention, because your sincere presence alone can naturally soften the atmosphere. Some people leave an impression through a loud voice, a striking appearance, or an ability to make a crowd turn toward them, but others carry a quiet and unassuming peace. They do not enter seeking to prove that they are special. Yet the way they listen, offer a kind word, and remain genuine in a world filled with masks causes others to feel safer. This is the kind of strength I am cultivating within you. Archangel Michael, my faithful messenger, protector, and executor of my will, is an image that reminds you that strength does not always appear loudly. Sometimes it is revealed through calmness, loyalty, and the ability to remain upright when everything around you is unsettled. Perhaps you have not recognized your influence because you have become accustomed to viewing yourself through your shortcomings. You remember the times when you spoke awkwardly, did not know how to respond, or felt that there was nothing remarkable about you. Yet others sometimes recognize in you what you have considered ordinary. The sincere attention you give when they speak, the way you do not mock another person's weakness, and the gentleness you still try to preserve even though you have been wounded yourself. These qualities may not create immediate applause, but they leave a lasting impression. People may forget an entertaining story or an impressive appearance, but they often remember for a long time how it felt to be respected and free to be themselves in someone's presence. If there is a person who will one day walk beside you in mature love, what first touches them may not be anything you are trying to prove. It may not be your status, your accomplishments, an image of perfection, or the carefully constructed version of yourself that you show the world. It may simply be the sincerity you have preserved after many disappointments. They may have passed through relationships filled with laughter but lacking depth, through conversations that seemed intimate but left only emptiness afterward. They may have become accustomed to performing a role, saying what was expected, and concealing their vulnerable places to avoid being judged. Therefore, when they meet someone who does not try to impress them but knows how to be genuinely present, they may immediately sense the difference. I want you to understand that a beautiful relationship does not begin when two people quickly treat one another as the answer to every loneliness. Healthy intimacy is usually built through small details. The way someone remembers what you once shared, respects your time and boundaries, and listens without immediately turning your story into their own. They may notice the brightness in your voice when you speak about something you love. Recognize that you become quieter when someone is grieving, or sense that your presence helps them lower their defenses. Yet these first impressions, however beautiful, still need time to be confirmed through consistency, responsibility, and practical choices. Do not turn the fact that someone thinks about you into certain proof that they are destined to belong to you. Emotion can open a door, but wisdom helps two people determine whether they should continue walking through it. Someone may be attracted to the peace you carry, but they must also learn how to offer that peace back to you. They may admire your sincerity, but they must also be honest in the way they live. Love cannot be built only upon excitement, sleepless nights of longing, or details repeatedly replayed in the mind. It requires respect, clear communication, the ability to apologize, a willingness to solve difficulties together, and a desire for growth from both people. I know that you may long for someone to see the depths within you that others have overlooked. You desire to be loved not because you are useful, successful, or always cheerful, but because your true self is recognized and treasured. That longing is not wrong. Yet, before waiting for another person to give you a sense of belonging, learn not to reject yourself. Do not hide every need merely to appear easygoing. Do not make your voice smaller so that another person will not feel challenged. Do not agree with everything out of fear that one disagreement will cause them to leave. The person who is right for you will not require you to lose your authenticity in order to keep them near. Perhaps you have grown accustomed to giving far more than you receive. You listen to everyone, yet rarely feel that anyone truly listens to you. You care for the emotions of others, and then deal with your own struggles alone. Therefore, when someone pays attention to the small details about you, you may quickly feel that this is what you have been waiting for all your life. Appreciate their attention, but do not place your entire future upon it too soon. Allow repeated actions over time to reveal what is truly in their heart. A mature person does not merely remember what you like. They also respect what you do not want. They do not only seek you when they need comfort. They are also present when you need to be supported. I do not want you to enter love, believing that you must rescue someone who has become exhausted by previous relationships. You may bring them peace, but you are not responsible for filling every emptiness within them. You may encourage them, but you cannot face their unhealed wounds in their place. If they have become accustomed to pretending they are not hurting, they must learn to speak honestly about their emotions. If they once lived in relationships lacking clarity, they must learn responsible communication. Your love may accompany their transformation, but it cannot replace their own decision to change. In the same way, that person has not been assigned the task of completing you. They cannot erase every year when you felt alone, nor can they guarantee that you will never feel insecure again. A healthy relationship can create an environment in which both people mature, but each person must still take responsibility for their thoughts, reactions, and choices. When you place upon someone the expectation that they must make every wound disappear, love will soon become a burden. Enter a relationship with an open heart, but do not demand that another person do what only you can do. Learn to value yourself, heal from the past, and live purposefully even when you are alone. Perhaps the person who will walk beside you has spent much of life surrounded by noise. They may know how to converse, participate in celebrations, and make others believe that they are always doing well. Yet, when night falls, those connections may not leave them feeling understood. They may have sat among many people while remaining lonely, received considerable attention, while rarely feeling that anyone cared about their inner world. Therefore, what causes them to pause before you may not be perfection. It may simply be the realization that you are not trying to use them to satisfy one of your own needs. You see them as a human being, not as an empty place that must be filled in the story of your life. The peace you bring does not come from always knowing the right thing to say. Sometimes it comes from your ability to sit quietly, without making the other person feel pressured to fill every silence. It comes from the way you do not force them to reveal what they are not ready to share. Do not turn their vulnerability into a subject for others, and do not use private information to win an argument. Safety is built through many choices like these. When someone realizes that they can be honest with you without being mocked and can be different without being threatened, they experience an intimacy deeper than initial attraction. Yet you must also observe whether you experience the same security in their presence. Do not merely ask whether they think about you. Ask whether you are respected. Do not focus only on the details they remember. Notice whether they keep their word, accept responsibility, and behave consistently. Do not only feel pleased that you give them peace. Examine whether they allow you to live with clarity or repeatedly leave you waiting, guessing, and doubting yourself. Healthy love is not only what you bring to another person. It is also a place where both people can grow without sacrificing their dignity. If someone truly values you, they will not only think about you secretly during quiet nights, while allowing you to continue living in confusion. At the appropriate time, their care must be expressed honestly and respectfully. They do not need to make grand declarations, but they must possess enough courage to be clear about their intentions. Maturity does not hide forever behind confusing signals. It understands that another person's emotions are not a game to be tested. A sincere person will not keep you close merely to enjoy the peace you provide, while refusing the responsibility of a genuine relationship. You must also be honest with your own heart. Do not create an entire story out of a few glances, several pleasant conversations, or a sense of familiarity. People may care for one another and still not be suited to build a marriage together. Compatibility must be considered across many areas: personal values, financial habits, attitudes toward family, the ability to handle disagreement, desires for the future, and respect for each other's responsibilities. A relationship cannot survive solely upon beautiful emotions during the first days. It must be strong enough to endure ordinary days, pressure, and differences. I am not telling you this to take away your hope, but to protect your hope from fantasies without a foundation. Beautiful love does not need to be turned into a miracle that causes you to ignore every important question. It can be profound while remaining practical, gentle while remaining clear, and deeply emotional without losing sound judgment. When someone loves you with maturity, they will not fear conversations about boundaries, responsibilities, and a shared direction. They understand that the most beautiful romance is not found only in words, but in the ability of two people to trust one another over time. My beloved, when someone truly recognizes the quiet beauty within you, their feelings may move beyond passing interest, because what touches them is not an embellished image, but the warmth you have preserved after everything you have endured. They may begin to smile when they remember something you said, think about conversations the two of you have not yet had, or wonder what enabled you to avoid becoming bitter, even though life placed many trials before you. Archangel Michael, my faithful messenger, protector, and executor of my will, is an image reminding you that a gentle heart is not the same as a weak one. Some people remain soft only because they have never been wounded, but others, like you, have known pain, loss, and disappointment, and have still decided not to use their suffering as a reason to wound others. That decision creates a beauty that cannot be imitated through words or appearance. I know there were days when you wanted to close your heart completely. You saw your sincerity misunderstood, your kindness taken for granted, and your patience exploited. At times you wondered whether remaining gentle in a defensive world was truly wise. You looked at cold and distant people who seemed less vulnerable to pain. and you thought that perhaps you, too, should become harder to approach, less emotional, and unwilling to trust anyone. Yet deep within, you could never entirely lose your ability to care. Although you have become more cautious, you still notice when someone is unusually quiet. Although you no longer give away trust easily, you still know how to listen when someone sincerely needs understanding. Although you have learned to establish boundaries, you still do not want those boundaries to become walls that prevent every form of love from entering. If a suitable person is gradually becoming aware of you, what attracts them may be this rare combination. You are gentle without being naive, profound without revealing everything, loving without surrendering your entire life to anyone who suddenly appears. They may recognize that you are not won over merely by beautiful words, grand gestures, or intense attention offered for a short period of time. You observe how a person treats those who are vulnerable, how they respond when they do not receive what they want, and whether they keep their word when no one reminds them. You may speak warmly with many people, but for someone to enter the deepest places within you, they must demonstrate trustworthiness through time. This does not make you difficult to love. It shows that you have learned that genuine love should be entrusted to a place of responsibility. You no longer open every door merely because you fear loneliness. You no longer tell your entire story to someone simply because they know how to say what you want to hear. You understand that intimacy is not a feeling of closeness that appears instantly, but the result of many moments when someone chooses honesty, protects what is private, respects your boundaries, and refuses to use your weakness as a weapon during conflict. A mature person will not resent the fact that you need time. Instead, they will understand that precious things should never be demanded hastily. Perhaps your caution will inspire another person to become more sincere. This should not be because they want to conquer a challenge, but because they sense that performances cannot survive for long in your presence. You do not need to ask many questions to recognize when words do not agree with truth. You can feel the difference between someone who is honest and someone who merely wants to create an impression. This discernment may cause an unserious person to leave, but it may also invite a mature person to approach more clearly. They understand that if they desire your trust, they cannot offer only intense emotion. They must offer consistency. I want you to remember that another person's desire for the depth within you is not enough to create a lasting relationship. Some people become captivated by the peace you give them, but are not yet ready to become a source of peace for you. Some enjoy being heard by you, but do not know how to listen when you need to speak. Some admire your patience, and then unknowingly use that patience as permission to delay responsibility. Therefore, do not merely rejoice because someone considers you special. Observe whether they know how to honor what is special about you through the way they live. Love is not proven only through nights spent thinking about one another, but through how two people treat each other during ordinary days. Someone may imagine a future with you, but a future cannot be built through imagination. It is built through clear conversations and the ability to discuss desires, boundaries, and responsibilities without avoidance. It is built when two people can disagree without humiliating one another, when someone can apologize without shifting blame, and when promises are followed by action. Attraction may begin the story, but character determines how far the story can go. Do not surrender all your trust simply because someone says they have never felt this way before. Allow time to reveal what emotion cannot yet prove. I also do not want you to idealize your reserve until it becomes a reason for no one to draw near. Sometimes you may say that you are merely observing, when in truth you are afraid. Sometimes you may require another person to prove too much while giving them too little opportunity to understand you. Sometimes you may expect them to guess what you need and then feel disappointed when they cannot. Protecting your heart is wise, but love requires a responsible degree of vulnerability. You do not need to open every door at once. But when someone has shown sincerity, you must also learn to express your feelings, needs, and fears. The right person cannot fully love a version of you that always remains hidden behind layers of defense. They need to see both your strength and the days when you are tired, both your hope and the things that make you uneasy. Yet this sharing should happen gradually, freely, and safely. You do not need to reveal your deepest pain in order to test someone's loyalty, nor should you use silence to see whether they love you enough to chase after you. Mature love is not built through secret tests. It grows when two people are honest enough to say, "This is what makes me anxious. This is how I need to be treated, and this is something I am not yet ready for." If that person has lived among many shallow relationships, your presence may cause them to recognize how tired they are of connections that only look beautiful on the surface. Yet recognition is one thing, while transformation is another. They must personally choose to leave behind old patterns, learn to take responsibility for their emotions, and stop using the attention of many people to fill their emptiness. You have not been assigned to rescue them from a way of living they are unwilling to abandon. You may be a source of encouragement, but you cannot become the place where they hide whenever they do not want to face themselves. Your love is not a shelter that someone visits when they are lonely and then leaves once they feel better. Your heart may be a safe place, but safety does not mean the absence of boundaries. A peaceful home still has a door, principles, and responsibilities for those who enter it. Someone who truly values you will not only desire to be healed by your gentleness, they will also care about how their behavior affects you. They will not treat your kindness as an entitlement, turn your forgiveness into permission to repeat mistakes, or allow you to carry every difficult part of the relationship. Remember that healthy love creates mutuality. You listen, and you are also heard. You respect their time, and your time is respected in return. You are willing to accompany them through difficulty, but they do not disappear when you need support. The two of you do not need to give in perfectly equal measure every day, because there will be seasons when one person must carry more. Yet across the entire journey, care must move in both directions. If you are always the other person's place of peace, but cannot find safety within them, you need to look at the relationship honestly. Perhaps you once believed that you must always appear gentle in order to deserve love. Yet someone who truly loves you must accept that you also have unhappy days, personal limits, and moments when you need space. You are not an endless source of comfort. You do not need to always say the right thing, remain calm, or have an answer. A tender heart does not mean you are forbidden to become angry. What matters is that you learn to express anger without destroying, speak about pain without insulting, and establish boundaries without turning them into revenge. A mature companion will not fear your truth. They will not demand that you always be pleasant so that they can remain comfortable. They will understand that love is sometimes expressed through a difficult conversation, necessary correction, or your refusal to accept something unhealthy. They will not call fearful silence peace, nor dependency intimacy. They will build with you a relationship in which both people can mature without losing themselves. I know there remains within you a desire to be recognized by one person among many others. You long to be chosen not merely because of outward appearance, but because of the hidden qualities you have spent years preserving. That desire is beautiful, but do not allow it to make you place all your worth upon whether another person notices you. Before anyone recognized the warmth within you, I knew how hard you had to fight not to become cold. Before anyone appreciated your patience, I saw the times when you struggled to remain calm in the midst of pain. You do not become valuable on the day someone loves you. Their love may recognize your dignity, but it cannot create what has already existed within you. Therefore, do not remain seated in imagination, wondering what another person may be thinking. You cannot know with certainty whether they smile when remembering you or how they imagine the future unless they express it. Honor reality. Do not turn a glance, an act of attention, or a period of silence into an entire promise. When the proper time comes, affection must become clear. A person who truly desires to enter your life will gradually show you through initiative, honest conversations, and responsible action. You do not need to spend your life decoding signs. If you also have feelings for them, you do not need to pretend to be indifferent in order to maintain control. You can express interest gently, preserve your self-respect, and give the other person freedom to respond. Honesty does not diminish your worth. Having the courage to say what you desire does not mean you must chase someone. You may open a door without pulling anyone through it. If they respond, the two of you may get to know each other slowly. If they are not ready, you can still move forward without treating their refusal as a judgment upon your value. My beloved, beautiful love will not repeatedly place you in a state of anxiety, leaving you to wonder where you stand or whether the other person still cares today. Every relationship contains moments of uncertainty, but confusion should not become its foundation. Someone who is serious will gradually make their intentions clearer, not through grand promises, but through consistent presence. They will not only seek you when emotion is intense. They will also make space for you within the practical rhythm of their life. They will not only speak about a beautiful future. They will begin living like someone capable of building it. Observe how they face their past. If they were wounded before, are they actively healing, or do they merely expect your love to erase every consequence? If they once lived among shallow relationships, have they truly ended those habits? Or do they still keep several doors partly open? If they claim to desire sincerity, are they sincere enough to speak clearly about their intentions, boundaries, and the things for which they are not yet ready? You do not need to find someone without a past. You need someone who does not use the past as an excuse to be irresponsible in the present. You should ask yourself the same questions. Are you entering love to build something together? Or do you merely hope that someone will cure your emptiness? Are you truly ready for intimacy? Or do you only like the idea of being loved? Can you listen to another person's needs without treating every difference as rejection? Are you willing to change habits that cause harm? Or do you expect the other person to continually adapt to you? Mature love is not only about finding the right person, It is also about continually becoming someone who knows how to love rightly. You do not need to be perfect before entering a relationship, but you must possess a willingness to learn. The other person must possess it as well. Both of you will still have blind spots, weary days, and misunderstandings. What matters is not how many disagreements occur, but how the two of you handle them. Can you speak the truth without humiliating each other? Can you apologize without adding an excuse? Can you forgive while still changing the behavior that caused the wound? If the answer gradually becomes yes, then you are building a place of genuine safety. I want you to continue preserving your tender heart, but do not allow tenderness to become self-abandonment. Love deeply, but not blindly. Give generously, but do not empty yourself completely. Listen, but do not lose your own voice. Be patient, but do not call endless delay a virtue. A love worthy of your participation will not require you to surrender your peace, dignity, and values merely to keep it alive. If someone is gradually approaching you with sincerity, allow them to come freely. Do not immediately place every dream of marriage upon them, while the two of you are still learning about each other. Discover one another's true character, not only the most attractive version displayed during the first days. Observe how each of you behaves under pressure, uses money, treats family, fulfills commitments, and respects differences. Love may begin with emotion, but a shared life requires much more. Preparation does not destroy romance. It protects romance from unrealistic expectations. Forgive those who once made you believe that your gentleness was foolish. Forgive those who received your care without knowing how to value it. Forgive yourself for the times when you gave your heart too quickly, or, on the other hand, closed the door to someone sincere because you feared history would repeat itself. You do not need to carry every old mistake into a new story. Keep the lesson, but release the judgment. Now choose to enter the future with calm hope. You do not need to know who may be thinking about you at night. You only need to continue living in such a way that your heart remains a place of truth, compassion, and wisdom. Care for yourself, nurture your friendships, fulfill your responsibilities, and build a life that does not feel empty, merely because you do not yet have a companion. When you live fully, you will be far less likely to accept a relationship that offers attention but lacks depth. Then, when the right love arrives, you will recognize it not only through beautiful words, but through the freedom both of you experience to become better people. You will not need to perform in order to be allowed to stay. The other person will not need to hide in order to be accepted by you. The two of you will be able to laugh together, sit quietly together, speak about difficult matters, and rebuild after moments of failure. Your presence will be a place where they find peace. But their presence must also be a place where you no longer feel that you must constantly defend yourself. Have the courage to welcome love, but also the courage to release relationships that only leave you exhausted. Forgive, but do not return to a repeating cycle where nothing changes. Hope, but do not use hope to deny reality. Continue to preserve your warmth, because the world does not need more people who become hardened merely to avoid pain. It needs people who know how to be gentle and strong, loving and discerning, open-hearted without losing themselves. Finally, return to peace. You do not need to force the future to arrive sooner. Be grateful that your heart is still capable of feeling deeply, that trials have not taken away your kindness, and that you have learned how to love more profoundly without continuing to love blindly. Trust that a beautiful relationship, if it is built, will not only cause two people to remain awake because they miss each other, but will also allow them to sleep peacefully because they trust one another. It will not consist only of beautiful imaginings about tomorrow, but also of kind and responsible choices made today. My beloved, continue becoming a safe place, first for yourself, and then for the person who knows how to value that presence. Live sincerely, forgive what has passed, lay down old fears, and move forward with gratitude. Mature love does not come to rescue you from life. It comes to live life beside you with greater truth, peace, and hope. When you understand this, you will no longer chase someone merely because they are attracted to the depth within you. You will calmly observe whether they possess enough sincerity, courage, and responsibility to enter that depth and walk there beside you.